so today we've got the EVD. Well, that was so loud, my voice just crackled. Anyway, so today we've got the EV2s, and these are the by Monsoon. So Monsoon sent them over, but I've been buying them anyway because they're really good products, and I only buy stuff that's really, really good. And this is another package as well. So these have got the 12mm fittings, I believe, and these ones are slightly bigger, probably the biggest you can get. But this is from one I made earlier. Well, so this whole video is going to be about how to get the rubber bands into the inlet of your compression fitting and how to put it in there properly and what ones you're meant to be using for your tubing. I do have some tubing here. I've got some crystal tubing, glass tubing and PETG tubing, and they're all different sizes, and I'm just going to demonstrate of how you should put them together. And if you make a mistake or you want to use different tubing, you'll be able to use different rubber bands, and I'm going to show you how to get them out as well as put them in. But it should be fairly simple, even though it's not really simple. Now this could be from beginner to pro, but the thing is that when it comes to obviously heating these elements up, these tubings, you can have warped edges from the actual circumference of the ends, or you could have like flat ends, or you could have it tarnished where it goes a bit black, or it could be melted a little bit, or something could just go wrong, it hasn't been cut properly and you have leaks. Now I'm not trying to scare anyone into not doing water cooling. Water cooling is really beautiful art when it's done right, but everyone has to step into the deep hole end. Like, it's got to be done, you know. When you've done it, you'll get better performance through your CPU and stuff like that. You'll also get a better aesthetic look, and it will be custom, and no one else could really copy what you've done. They can do if they're pros, but they probably won't because it's an art. And if they're copying your style, then who cares? Because at the end of the day, you've done it first, and people are copying it because it's really great. But anyway, to make that great, you need great fittings. So these fittings I definitely highly recommend. So we're going to open the big box first. Actually, before we even open the box, actually, I will. I'll open the box first. Get some fittings out so you can have a look on the table. So, nice little bit of packaging, quite straightforward. You get a wrench so you can tighten it up, your compression fitting. So, I'm going to show you all of this anyway. And you get some rubber bands for different sizes, and you've got some bigger plastic inserts which compress against the tubing and obviously the compression fitting, and then you've got some more rubber rings there. This is for the bigger version. So this is a tube outer diameter 15.2 to 16.2 diameter, and then it gives you clear instructions and obviously putting the tubing in. I'm going to show you exactly what that's all about, but let's get some of these on the table. So they come like this. This is shiny black chrome. It's really nice. This is for obviously a bigger tubing, and it doesn't have no rubber in there at all, no rubber inserts, it's just completely clean. So I'll get these out. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Now if you think about it, how many compression fittings have I got here? So I've got 12 compression fittings, so you could have one for the graphics card, one for the CPU, one for the radiator, one for the reservoir, and one for the pump. And then you could have one left over, or you could have one for another radiator. It's entirely up to you, or you can buy some more, but they come in packs like that. And then this one is a pack of 6. Anyway, so this one is for the smaller version, which is on this side, which I've already used, and this one is for the bigger size. Now, basically with this wrench, you got these little notches here, and this is how you put it on to make sure that it's tightened up into your build. Now this wrench is for the one that I've got here, and I'm finding it hard trying to do it, but tubing will be there, and obviously it will be situated on the actual wrench, so I could literally just wrench it around to make it tighten up. And then the rubber bands, you put 2 rubber bands in the middle of this compression fitting, and one on the back. So one on the bottom there to compress against the radiator, pump, CPU, water block or graphics card, and then you put 2 in there to make sure it's nice and sealed, and then you put in a flat, what's it called that you put over the top? Then you put a funnel on the top, so you put the funnel over the tubing, and then that compresses. So it's like 4 different ways that it shouldn't leak. So that's pretty cool. Now to test what if this is going to work and that with your tubing that you've got. Now obviously this is for the bigger size tubings. As I said, this is for outer diameter 15.2 to 16.2 diameter. So it'll fit tubing from that. Now if your tubing's slightly in between, you can stick your tubing in the middle of here, or like in, say that you've got the biggest tubing, it'll go to the top. And if you've got the smallest tubing, it'll go to the bottom. And if you've got a medium size, it'll go into the middle. And then it tells you what ones to actually put it in. So if it touches the red zone, use parts in the red bag, which is this one. So if it touches the red zone, which I'm going to get it out. So what have we got? 15.2. So if I use a 13 millimeter glass tubing, I can put it in there, and it's saying that I should be using the red parts of the bag for that tubing, which is there. And then I would be using, if it touches the white zone, use these parts in the white bag. So this will be that part, and it will have all the fittings. It'll have the ferrule, and it'll have the rubber bands that go inside the actual compression fitting itself. And then these bits, it's just what goes elsewhere in the actual tubing. So I will come back to that in 1 second. I just want to do a quick demonstration. So I'm going to unravel this glass bit. And this glass bit is from Mayhem, so it's a total different company, and yet I'm using it with Monsoon. Like Monsoon, you can use any kind of tubing with it. They got you covered. So, Right, so here's the tubing, and now I'm going to put the compression fitting on. So that is the size. I need to use the red bag, so I move the white bag out of the way. So I've got a ferrule here, which is a plastic compression fitting, and then these are little rubber bits, little O-rings. Got to get them out of the bag. They're like that. They're just rubber bits. Right, so I stick it in here, and to do that, just place it inside until when it's flat against the surface. And it shouldn't take very long to get it in there. I can do it quicker with the 12mm ones. Right, so that's one in at the moment, and then I've got to put the other one in. What are you doing? So you just place it into the base of it, and one bit will be into the crease of it. And if it's into the crease of it, what happens is I just move my finger around so it matches the rest of the crease, and then it's in there flush. And it's so simple, like so. And then what happens is now I grab the tubing, or getting the ferrule and making sure that it's pointing downwards. So it's like the smaller end goes downwards and then the bigger end is at the top. So the tubing will be here, and then I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. This makes sense. So I've just turned it upside down, so the smallest point's at the top, and I'm placing it over the base of the tube, and then where the rubber bands will have contact against the glass, as you can hear that grinding sort of sound. Now that fits really, really tightly on there, and you just make sure that it fits nice and flush. I'll have to take this out for a minute because this paper thing's getting on my nerves. Right, so got the glass tubing. So I get the compression top fitting, place that over first, then I get the ferrule, and then put the biggest base going downwards and the smallest base going at the top. Then I place this into the 2 O-rings into the compression fitting bottom half. And then that sits nice and flush, and then all I need to do is screw it on. And this will make sure that where the ferrule's on the actual tubing, it makes sure it's nice and tight. And it should be nice and simple just to put it on like so. And that's not really tight at the moment, I've just tightened that up in my hands. And then once this is in the base as well, you use this wrench. As you can see, it fits right next to the glass, and it should fit into the ports like what I've got there. And then you could just easily just tighten it up like so, and it's as simple as that. But before you even do that, you need to put an O-ring at the bottom, which I'm going to do. Now this is a compression O-ring for the bottom of like a radiator, CPU, water block, anything you're attaching it to needs to go to the bottom. So I've just put this on. And it sits flush. And then basically that compresses right against the radiator, CPU, water block, or any sort of block that you're putting it on, so it stops it from leaks there, and then the ferrule stops it from leaks there, and obviously the two O-rings that are inside the compression fittings stop the water from leaking there as well. And you just tighten it up, as simple as that. And this is glass. Now Monsoon do this for acrylic, which I've got crystal here, and then I've got glass in my hand, all different size glasses, and I've got PETG, which is here. And what we'll do is we'll demonstrate how to put a fitting on the 12mm now. Got to be careful not to break it. So in this bag of EV2, EV2s, you've got a green bag, a yellow bag, a purple bag, and then you've got some really cool luminous blue O-rings, and then you've got a smaller wrench, and then you've got an instruction guide for what you need to be doing for these. Now this is the same sort of idea of the bigger compression fittings. So I'm just going to get these out on the table so you can see these as well. And then I'm going to demonstrate how to get that out. Right, so on the back here, it's saying tube outer diameter 11.8 to 13.2 millimeters, and if it touches the purple zone, use the parts in the purple bag. Yellow zone, use the parts in the yellow bag. Green zone, use the parts in the green bag. Now I've got a 12mm tube in here, and mine is saying to use, if it touches the yellow, so I've got to use the yellow parts in this bag, or even, would I say yellow? No, green. Got to use the green parts. Right, so I've got to use the green parts in this one. So just make sure, don't force it, so you don't want to warp the card, because the card makes it pretty accessible of what you need to do. It's pretty self-explanatory. But anyway, so what we do is do exactly the same. So we use the O-rings and the ferrule and the O-rings that are in the green bag. So we're just going to do one test here. So I've got that, 2 O-rings. And then we're going to get the blue bag out. And then we're going to put an O-ring at the bottom. So this is a smaller version, obviously. So same old, get this in there. Hang on, is that the right O-ring? Yep. So I put these O-rings in here. And they fit nice and flush inside. And that fits nice and flush in that side. Then you put in the O-ring at the bottom to make sure it's going to be compressed against the water blocks. And then you get your tube in. You get your compression fitting end. You place that over. Remember to use the bottom base of the ferrule, and then the smaller top should be facing upwards to enter into the compression fitting. And then you just slide it on so it's nice and tight like so. And that's what it will be like when you're putting it on your water block. And then you just screw it onto the ferrule like so. And then the ferrule compresses down next to the tubing and stops any coolant going out. Then you use your little wrench, which is for this size, and you just tighten it up. It's not a problem. And because you've got an extra protection with the O-ring compressing against the water block, you're not going to have any problems with it like so. Now, how do I get the rubber band out if I've made a mistake or I want to use different tubing? Well, it's quite simple. So undo it with the wrench, obviously if it's in your system. Obviously drain it the proper way. Take the compression fitting out, take the ferrule out. Make sure this all goes in the same bag. Take out the tubing. Now, what I do is I use a screwdriver, normally a flathead, really small. And what I do is I try and get the anchor the back of the flathead right into the groove without damaging the O-ring, and I try and get it like so. And once I get it down, there you have it. So that's one rubber band out, and this is the same for all of them. So I'll just show you again. What I normally do is I keep pressing it down, and so the rubber band comes slipping out a little bit more, but I'm trying not to damage it. Just check it as well to make sure there's no splits or anything like that. And if you really want to, just buy some new rubber bands, and then you've got the added protection that nothing's going to leak. But that's how you get it out anyway. So what I do is I push down, and then the rubber goes around the outside, and then I rest my screwdriver like so on the side of the base, so it doesn't go anywhere. Then I use another to prise it down. And that's another one done. Simple as that. And the bottom one should be just fairly simple, just to roll it from your fingernail. And if it's not going to come out, what you could do is use a screwdriver flat end and just roll it upwards like so, and it comes off. Simple as that. And then you just put your compression fittings for another rainy day. So all the tubing that I've got here, obviously I've got crystal, got PET tubing, I've got glass, got different size glasses. This will fit mostly all the tubing that I've got. Doesn't matter if it's from Bits Power or it's like I don't know, some other name brand tubing, Premachill. It works with every different version. So if you like this kind of tutorial of how to obviously put your compression fittings in, and you want to attempt to do some water cooling, try glass. No, I'm joking. Don't try glass yet. But if you're into all of that sort of stuff, yeah, just follow the tutorial pretty well, and then watch it as close as possible, and then you should be able to obviously like grasp it. The instructions are okay. They're on the back. It shows your compression fittings there, ferrule like pointing downwards, but it's not like the clearest instructions. It's trying to be as clear as possible. Then you've got the bottom end compression fittings, and then it's got, like, after determining the correct parts bag, see reverse, carefully install the O-ring into the groove inside the base, slide compression ring into the tube, slide ferrule onto the tubing, making sure it's in orientated as shown, but you can't see what I'm talking about as much on the actual card, but I know what I'm talking about when it comes down to that, because that's what you need to do with the ferrule. So the ferrule just needs to be like this. So I'm going to do a close-up actually, this will be easier. Forget the instructions, watch this tutorial.